Namaskaram everyone, my name is Shubham Rajput and I welcome you with all my heart to yantras.com. This is our second video in the Build Your Own PC series, and in this video, as I pointed out in my previous video, we are going to discuss how actually to go out and pick a CPU for yourselves. So how am I going to structure this video? I am not just going to structure this video so that you can just go out and pick a CPU for yourselves depending on what your needs are. Of course you can do that, but I'm also going to structure this video such that we discuss all the intricate details that you need to know in understanding how a CPU and the parameters related to the CPU applies in real world situations, so you have a comprehensive understanding as to how to pick a CPU now or anytime after you have completely watched this video. Why is this important? Because once you have a comprehensive understanding as to how to pick a CPU and use it to build your own PC, you can go out and help someone who wants to build a PC. It may be your family member, it may be someone in the YouTube comment section, it may be someone on the Yantras blog or forums such as our Build a PC, which is a very incredible place if you want to build a PC or any PC related queries if you have. It's an incredible place where you can go and have your queries answered. I personally like that place. You can too. So you get my point, right? That is how I'm going to structure this video. And not just that, at the end of this video, I'm also going to unbox this little beast. It's packed really nicely. You will be pleasantly surprised what CPU is in there. I hope you stay till the end of this video to actually know what this CPU is. So with that said, let's dive into it. So let's start with this. How does one understand what is it that he or she needs to buy? There's this one very weird thing that goes around in the world, and what I term as shiny object syndrome. Well, I don't term it, it's like a shiny object syndrome, that people go out and pick whatever is the best. That's fine. Best means best. I get that you can get something that works great and you buy it for your own use, but that is not how things are supposed to be. Just because you can get something doesn't necessarily mean you should have it, right? The most fundamental thing that you need to understand, whether you are going CPU shopping, whether you're going underwear shopping or whatever, is whether you need it or not, right? And how do you know what you need is based on this fundamental understanding of what your need is. Am I making sense? So the first thing before we jump into what are various parameters that are associated with choosing a CPU, what we need to understand is what our need is, right? Once we have established what our need is, believe me, you don't actually need even this video to find what CPU you want. I'm not going to tell you what your need is because so many people will be watching this video and different types of people will have different kinds of needs. I will move ahead by describing you what my need was while building this computer. So my need was to build a PC to create videos for Yantras and other projects that obviously I have in mind. So I want a PC that can fundamentally create these videos and also enable me to play games. I'm not looking at very high frame rates or very high resolution to playing, but something that is acceptable to what I need. So like 1080 pixels in modern titles with 60 frames per second or more is what my need is. Video editing and 1080 pixel gaming at 60 frames per second. This actually tells everything to if someone out there is actually very experienced in building a PC, already his mind will be working, okay, this is the PC, so these are the things that you need to have. So what I just did is I just told you what my needs were. So you can now look into what your needs are, and from there you can proceed. You see how we are tackling this situation? So the first thing before we understand what CPU parameters is understanding what our needs are. So now let's understand what CPU parameters you actually need to understand. There are a lot of parameters. If you just pick up a specification sheet of any CPU that you are looking into, there are so many parameters that you can see. But are all those important? Not at all. What are those parameters? Let's look into them. Alright, so first parameter that we're going to discuss is clock speeds. What is a clock speed? Clock speed determines the speed with which your CPU or any device in concern actually operates, right? So in order to understand clock speeds, we need to understand what's clock and what is it that represents speed.
I can explain it to you directly like this, but I think it's time to bring up Master G. Just give me a second.
Alright, so we were talking about clock speeds, right? So what is a clock? When it comes to the electronics world or silicon world in general, you need to understand that clocks here doesn't necessarily represent the same clock that we see. Anybody who has looked a little bit into electronics and technology knows that. But so what is a clock when it comes to electronics or this silicon world in general? Let me explain it like this. This is a sine wave, right? This is a sinusoidal wave. The time this wave, this is a continuous wave, right? This goes on like this endlessly. So the time that this particular wave takes to complete one cycle is actually called, let me just stand it, is actually called its time period. So this is called crest and this valley is called trough, right? So the time this wave takes to complete one crest and one trough completely is called the time period of a wave. So what does this time actually represent? This time period actually represents how fast or how slow a wave is actually moving. So if the time period is large, we say that this particular wave takes a lot of time to complete its cycle. When I say cycle, I mean one crest and one trough. What if the time period is small? What if this wave takes, this is another wave that takes, let's say, time t to complete. Now we'll say that this wave takes lesser time in order to complete its one cycle. So which is the faster wave here? Of course, one that takes less time. So can we actually determine a parameter that directly correlates with the speed of this wave? How fast a wave completes a cycle? That term is called frequency. Very simple. If time is large, speed is slow. If speed is large, time is slow. It's actually an inversely proportional parameter. So we define frequency as 1 divided by the time period a wave takes to complete its cycle. So F will be 1 by T. Now, this parameter will directly represent what speed this wave represents, and if we have a CPU that operates at a frequency that is higher when compared with some other CPU, we say that CPU operates at a higher speed. One more thing I would like to make clear here is that this type of wave where value of this wave is continuously changing with time is actually called an analog wave. In digital systems, this is not what happens. In digital systems, the waveforms that are actually deployed are ones whose value don't change with time. We call these discrete values. But the ways that we use is, so in digital subsystems, this is the kind of wave that we use, but all other things remain exactly the same. So you understand what clock speeds are now, right? Clock speeds or clock cycles or clock speeds are. Clock speeds represent how fast your CPU will operate, but will just clock speed determine how responsive, how fast your system will be? It's not that easy. So what I'm trying to say is, we'll discuss that a little later in the video, but you need to understand that when you're looking for a CPU, having higher clock speeds is absolutely good. That is what you need, right? With newer generation CPUs, that is what we are actually needing. But it's not just clock speeds that determine how responsive your systems will be. There are other factors that you need to see. That we'll see further down in the video. Okay guys, I hope you are enjoying this video. In my effort to make this video as comprehensive as possible, things got a little long. So instead of just posting one long video, I decided to convert this video into a video series wherein we go into in-depth as to various different parameters, into various different understandings that we need to have in order to pick a CPU in a very effective sense and in a way that is very precise to what our needs are. So in the first segment of this video, which means in this video, we discussed how to arrive at what your need is and then move on from there. In the next segment of this series, we are going to talk about in depth as to what are different CPU parameters that you need to understand. We have already seen what clock speeds are. In the next video, we'll go into in depth as to what are the other parameters that you need to look out for. And in the subsequent video in this series, we will see as to how to apply those parameters into real world situations, and then we'll move ahead with that. So that was all in this first segment of how to choose your CPU series. I will leave the link to the next segment here, and I will also leave a link to the entire choose your own CPU and build your own PC series in the YouTube card here, so that you can just go ahead, click them and enjoy the content that will be a subsequent and continuous part of this video series. With that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I also hope you will enjoy the subsequent part of this video series. With that said, guys, I request your permission to take leave, and I'll see you again very soon. Namaskar.